Hi everyone, I'm Olivia, and today I'm going to be talking to you about eating disorders and disordered eating. So, you can have disordered eating habits, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have an eating disorder. Um, so some of the habits you might be experiencing can be those that are the same symptoms of having an eating disorder, but they are much less severe than actually having an eating disorder. Um, And those typically develop during teenage and young adulthood, and they are most common in women and girls. And athletes are usually at higher risk of eating disorders, and the cause of it is unknown, but it can be tied into psychological and medical issues and can also have to do with low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, trouble coping with emotions, and substance abuse. Um, a person can start eating a little bit less than usual, and then it can end up spiraling out of control and eventually taking over that person's life. And that's why sometimes people and athletes do have such a hard time dealing with an eating disorder because it takes over their life and they feel as if they can't move past it. Um, and it is common for those with eating disorders to try and hide it. And oftentimes it is hard to recognize the signs of people that have an eating disorder or disordered eating. Um, and it's important to know that you cannot always tell if somebody has an eating disorder based on how they look. Um, and again, just to remind you that you can have disordered eating habits, but that doesn't mean that you have an eating disorder. So the three main types of eating disorders are anorexia nervosa, um, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating disorder. And what those are, anorexia nervosa is when you are struggling with extreme weight loss from excessive dieting and exercise, and it's almost to the point of starvation. And these people often see themselves as fat and they cannot be thin enough. Um, with bulimia nervosa, these people go through cycles of extreme overeating, which can be known as binge eating or binging, and is often followed by purging or throwing up or other behaviors to compensate for overeating. And this is often associated with feelings of loss of control about eating. And the third one is binge eating disorder, where you just experience regular episodes of overeating and struggling with feelings of loss of control about eating. And there is a new type that has been added to the DSM 5 recently, which is avoidant and restrictive food intake disorder. And what that is eating very little or avoiding certain foods because of color or texture. And that often begins in childhood. So that's one of the new ones that they've added. Um, some signs to look for um, with each of these, with the big three, is with anorexia, dramatic weight loss, skipping meals, or excessive exercise. With bulimia, if there's evidence of binge eating and purging. And with binge eating, it's just if there's constant dieting, but there's no weight loss, and eating large amounts of food in a short time or hoarding food. Um, so with athletes, some of the signs and symptoms you can look for are signs of overtraining, which can include exercising for much longer, more frequently, and much higher intensity than what is typically recommended for that sport. Um, and athletes that are struggling may also latch on to enduring and rigid beliefs that constant weight loss will improve their strength, stamina, and performance in some way. Um, and oftentimes they want to try new forms of diets, cleanses, elimination of an entire food group without actually consulting with medical supervisor first to see if that is something they should be doing or if it's unsafe for them. And these eating disorders rarely travel alone. So an athlete engaging in disordered eating or struggling with an eating disorder may also be struggling with depression, anxiety, mood swings, sleep issues, or other mental health issues. And oftentimes it can be hard to diagnose athletes because there's already an increased focus on their weight and body type, and it can be hard to distinguish between their training, increased performance, and over-exercising. And disordered eating and eating disorders impact not just the athlete's mental health and their sense of self, but it also negatively impacts their athletic ability. So with treatments of eating disorders and disordered eating, the first step is by going to therapy. And from there is a bunch of different options you can choose. Some of these can include CBT treatments, medications, or psychotherapy, depending on the severity of your eating disorder or disordered eating. And some tips for college students that are struggling can be to seek out supportive teammates and create boundaries with those who normalize disordered eating or pressure for you to change your body. And you want to clearly communicate with your teammates how you want to be supported and let them know what makes it harder for you to heal. And you want to shift your focus because if you're noticing thoughts about your weight, shape, or appearance that are impacting you negatively, you want to shift your mindset and focus on the wonderful things that your body can do and appreciate the function of your body. So that is all I have for you today. If you are struggling with anything, counseling services is available. We are located on the first floor of Almer. To schedule an appointment, you can call, email, or stop in and schedule with our secretary. All information is listed on Lock Haven website and D2L. We also have an Instagram and Facebook that we post regularly on. So all those options are available to you. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day.